Hi, this is Richard. I'm an e-bike reviewer with 20 years or so experience riding, writing and videoing e-bikes. Today we're going to take a look at these wonderfully light carbon frame folders from UK company Ego. They have two models. There's a single speed, just called the CarbonLite, and there's the CarbonLite 3S, which has 3 hub gears in the rear wheel. They're pretty light for electric folders, as I say. I've weighed them both on my scales. They come in at 14.4 kilograms for the single speed, and with the rack 16 kilograms for the 3-speed, the 3S. If you don't opt for the optional rear rack, that would get the weight of the 3-speed down to around 15.5 kilos. So that's a pretty easy weight to lift for the likes of people, leisure riders, going off, putting them in the car boot, putting them in the motorhome, or also for rail commuters, because obviously they fold up into small portable packages, so they would also suit a rail commuter who needs to lift the bike on and off trains. Both these bikes feature lightweight carbon frames and pretty powerful Star Union mid-drive motors, which will give you better climbing ability than most hub drive motors, and also they should be more efficient, make more efficient use of the 252 watt-hour batteries which you find in the Seatpost. So in summary, there's very few lightweight e-bikes with mid-drives, and as I say, these are the first with the carbon frames and mid-drives that I've come across. So let's now take a look at the similarities and the differences between the two models. As we've mentioned, both have carbon frames, these lovely aerodynamic looking carbon frames. Similarly, they both have carbon forks in the front wheel, and they both have these nice one-piece handlebar post and handlebars, just one continuous piece, with a full colour TFT display in the middle of the handlebars. And both also have this nice neat little tiltable front light at the front of the handlebars. They both have the same mid-drive motors. That's a 2.3 kilo Star Union mid-drive motor, CN2503 if you want to look it up on the internet. And that's got a good healthy torque rating of 75 newton meters. They also both have high performance hydraulic Tektro HD M280 hydraulic Tektro disc brakes. Another similarity is the belt drive that both features, although they have slightly different systems. The single speed is the market leader in terms of e-bikes. That's a Gates belt drive on the single speed, whereas the 3-speed here has a Dayco. They're perhaps more known in the automotive world for doing things like timing belts and so on cars. A word about belt drives in general. In recent years, they've replaced chains on many e-bikes. Belt drives have two main advantages over chains. Firstly, they last longer with a life of around 10 to 20,000 miles. Secondly, they're clean compared to greasy chains as they're oil-free, a big advantage on an electric folder you want to carry about. It's true belt drives are slightly less efficient than chain drives, but on electric bikes they're not really noticeable at all. As mentioned already, they both got Seatpost batteries, 252 watt Seatpost batteries. The power comes out the bottom of the battery. We'll look at that in more detail, but there's a cable coming out of the bottom of the Seatpost to feed power to the motor. Charging is done by way of this little charging port at the top, which is very handy just for plugging in the bike without having to take the Seatpost batteries out. You can leave them locked in. There's a small push button lock on the Seatpost clamp there, and that can also be unlocked with a special key. There's also a special tool to tighten up and loosen off the clamp to get the right tension on the clamp. We'll take a look at the differences between the two models now. They've really got different aims that would suit different styles of rider. The single speed is an out-and-out speed machine. Got aero style carbon rims, whereas the 3-speed has tougher alloy rims, so it's slightly more of a utility bike. As you can see with the gears, the 3-speed gears, made for hills, carrying things and so on, for everyday round town use, whereas the single speed is a bike for hopping on and going fast, for those people who really like a sporty ride. The single speed, with its lighter weight, is all about saving a few 100 grams here and there. So I actually weighed the difference between the front wheels of the two models, and it saved you about 200 grams on the single speed. Those lighter wheels should also make it feel a bit nippy around town, and make it accelerate a bit quicker and go a bit faster up hills, as long as you're within the gear range of the single speed gear. The 3-speed, it's still pretty lightweight, not to the extent that every gram matters though. It stresses well the ability to have gears for hillier terrain, or just for leveraging the motor power. The last point of difference between the two models lies in the slightly different tyre widths used. There are 18 inch by 1.75 wide tyres on the single speed, and 18 inch by 2 inch wide tyres on the 3-speed. Again, reflecting the different purposes the bikes are made for. The slightly narrower tyres on the single speed are going to give you a bit more speed and acceleration, whereas the slightly wider tyres on the 3-speed are more aimed at comfort and utility. I should say 18 inches is a slightly unusual wheel size, but I think it's a very good choice. Gives you a bit more riding stability than the smaller 16-inch wheels used on some bikes like the Brompton, but it still allows for a good compact fold, so you should get a slightly smaller fold than a lot of 20-inch wheel folding bikes. So I think they're a really excellent compromise. So that's just a brief overview of the two models, and we'll now take a more detailed look at how they fared with some real-world riding tests.